From the perspective of racialized communities, is Canada more equal than it was 30 years ago, and what role has the Charter played?
Well, I don't know for a fact whether it's better. It depends on who you ask. It has to depend on who you ask. Certainly our self-image is that we are an equal society and everybody can come here and not be abused. But if you ask all of the people who have been abused, I think they would have a different perspective. And to some extent, it's more difficult to argue for protecting your rights when there is a self-image that we are in fact already perfect. So I think that it does, it cuts both ways. And I believe that the cause of equality has always to be pursued on an ongoing basis. There will be different people who will be marginalized, who will have their rights abused over time. I don't know, I guess with some pride, I suppose, some kind of backhanded self-congratulations where we often say, well, I heard politicians way back when, back to Mr. McMurtry, the Irish were the first to be discriminated against. Of course, you're hard-pressed to find any Irish people who feel discriminated against today. And then they said, well, then it was the turn of this group and that group and the following groups. And there is going to be common cause among different communities now who in their history were used as slave indentured labor, as the Chinese railway workers were. And now today we have all those meat packers at XL Foods. Let's investigate what their position is and how helpless they feel under the current circumstances as we natter away about rules and regulations. So it's not the case that we've solved our problems. We seem to manage to continue to hurt others as we go along. The only hope is that redress comes more quickly.
That certainly is the only hope for the mostly foreign temporary workers in that plant in Brooks, Alberta. Most of them will be long gone before a case could find its way through the courts. Do you think the Charter is as relevant in today's climate of cutbacks and wariness of court judgments that challenge government policies?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad to see that Chief McMurtry was here as well. And there's a bit of a contrast here as we're celebrating 25 years of the legal clinic. And also I see people from ACE here as well, the specialized legal clinics, which were created as a primary purpose to equal the playing field, right? To level the playing field so that people of no means could actually press their rights. Right? And so when we see the removal of the Charter Challenge Fund, it is actually bittersweet that we're celebrating the Charter while removing the tools by which we can actually pursue our rights under the Charter, but at least celebrate the persistence of the legal clinic system in Ontario that allows some measure of leveling the playing field. So I think somebody else mentioned that there is the law and then there is the implementation. The law is great. The law is perfect. But implementing it, as David was earlier saying, requires proactive work. It doesn't enforce itself, right? And silly though it may seem, we are obliged to ask the government of the day to actively enforce its own legislation, which sounds to me a bit idiotic, but there you are. That's where we are. And so that's why I think it's important that today clinics become an important measure of how well we can actually guarantee our own rights.